Red River, Oklahoma, Palm Sunday, April 14, 1935. If a girl could go blind from too bright a sky, I would have gazed upward anyhow, burning the sight right out of my eyes. Far as I could remember, there'd never been a day so calm and blue without a whisper of wind. Of all the things I could have done with that Sunday afternoon, all I wanted was to sit on the porch and let the sunshine warm my skin. I believed it would have been a sin to stay inside when God had sent us such fine weather. According to Pastor Ezra Anderson, sin was the reason we'd gotten into the dusty mess we were in. The way I saw it, that day was God's way of letting us know He wasn't mad at us anymore. Just maybe He'd seen fit to forgive us. My older sister, Beanie, sat beside me on the porch, her eyes clamped tight against the sunshine, like she didn't want it getting in. Every now and again, she made one of her little grunting sounds that came from the back of her throat. I'd grown used to the noises Beanie made, and they didn't bother me like they did other people. Thing was, most folks didn't understand Beanie on account she wasn't like anyone else in Red River. She wasn't smart like most people because she was born not breathing. Some people in town just didn't seem to know it was wrong to say nasty things about a person just because they were different. They'd say my sister was an idiot or stupid or any number of other cruel things. It seemed to me they were the ones lacking in brains to say something so hurtful. Meemaw, though, never listened to what those folks said. She told me Beanie was just the way God wanted her and that no soul on earth had the right to question it. Meemaw had always known just what to say to make me feel better. I wondered if she wasn't hobbling around heaven, spreading her wisdom and sweet smiles the same way she'd done on earth. I sure did miss her. I want to hear a story, Beanie said, opening one of her lids and eyeballing me. You do? I asked, giving her a half smile. She grunted her yes. Then go on and get my book off the shelf. I nodded at the open front door. I'll read something to you. Don't want to go in. Well, I don't either, I sighed. Some days, I got tired of having to take care of her so much. She could do about anything for herself. Problem was, she was stubborn as an old mule. When she got in her mind that she didn't want to do a thing, there was no way of convincing her otherwise. She'd stay put until I gave up. I usually just shook my head and did for her on account it wound up being easier in the end. I want to hear a story, she repeated in case I'd forgotten what she said. How about I tell it to you? I asked. Which one you want? The girl and the boy in the forest. You never remember their names, do you? I asked. She closed her eyes again and shook her head. Hansel and Gretel, I told her. That one? She gave me an uh-huh. Silly smile on her face, she scooted on her backside so that she could lean against the slats under the porch railing. Tipping her head, she let the sun shine full on her face. Her wild dark hair fuzzed around her like a shadowy halo. All right, I started. There was once a boy and girl named Hansel and Gretel. They lived deep in the dark woods with their father and mother. She weren't their real mama, Beanie said. Their real one was dead. That's right. They had a stepmother. A wicked one, she said. She ain't nice. Beanie opened her eyes just a slit and peeked at me a second before closing them again. I thought of Mama, how she wasn't my real mother, how she and Daddy had taken me in as their own, never treating me any different from Beanie. Mama loved me like I'd come from her. My real mother had left me right after I was born. My mother, Winnie, best kept secret in all the history of Red River. Much as I didn't like to, I thought of her most days, even if just a little. And when she did come to mind, it was with her glassy eyes and bleeding body, the life gushing all over me. That was hardly more than a month ago. I hoped after a while the memory of her getting shot and killed the way she did would fade away. I hoped that enough sunny days might work to do just that. Beanie made another of her noises, pulling me out of the bad memory and back to that sunshine-soaked porch. Nope, I said, sitting up straighter. She wasn't nice. That stepmother was real mean and selfish. When they ran out of food, she got even meaner. Turning, I saw Mama in the side yard where she shook out a rug, Oklahoma dust clouding up from it, showing like gold in the sun. She caught me watching her and smiled. Well, I went on, that stepmother got the idea to send the children away. Out in the woods, Beanie added. But Hansel, he was a smart boy. He'd been listening and came up with a plan all his own. He took him a piece of bread. Beanie swatted at a bug that got too close to her face. He got that bread and broke it all into bits. As he and Gretel followed behind their father into the dark woods, he dropped pieces of it behind him, leaving a trail of crumbs so they could find their way back home. They never went home, Beanie said. Once you go, you can't never get back. Shifting, she turned her face toward town and opened her eyes. Her overgrown eyebrows twitched up and down, and she rubbed at her nose with the back of her hand. What do you mean? I asked. She acted like she hadn't heard me, even though I knew well enough she had. Wiping her hand on the skirt of her dress, she closed her eyes again. I don't want to hear no more, she said. I watched as she leaned her head on the slats again. After a minute, she started on her snoring. I knew to be fake. Sometimes she'd do that, pretend to be asleep, so I'd leave her alone. On her lap, she held her hand in a fist, the dirt under the fingernails tucked tight into her palm. I put my hand over it, covering it. I love you, I said. I meant it. She opened her hand enough to hold my fingers just for a moment. She squeezed them before she went back to her pretend snoring.